Have you ever wondered why China is struggling economically? For decades, China's economy boomed. It was the factory of the world. People marveled at its growth, but lately things have changed. The picture isn't as rosy as it once seemed. China's facing some serious economic challenges. Think about it like this. Imagine a giant, speeding train suddenly hitting the brakes. That's China's economy right now. Growth is slowing down, and that slowdown is causing some major problems for everyday people. We're talking about rising unemployment, especially among young people. We're talking about a housing crisis that's left many feeling like they're priced out of the market. So what's going on? How did China get here? For years, China boasted about its incredible economic growth. Double-digit increases, no problem. But those days seem to be fading. The reality is China's economy is showing cracks. Remember that housing crisis we mentioned? It's a big one. China went on a building spree, constructing apartment blocks at lightning speed. But many of these apartments remain empty. People can't afford them. And that's led to a ticking time bomb in the real estate market. Then there's the issue of debt. Local governments, businesses, and even individuals are swimming in it. This mountain of debt is making it harder for the economy to grow. And let's not forget about the trade tensions with other countries. The Chinese government is trying to fix these problems, but it's a tough situation with no easy answers. Imagine this. You've worked hard your whole life, saved every penny, and you're finally ready to buy your dream home. But there's a catch. The price of that home is so astronomically high that it's completely out of reach. For millions of Chinese citizens, this isn't a nightmare scenario, it's the reality of the housing crisis. For years, China experienced a property boom. Developers rushed to build massive residential complexes, often with borrowed money. This fueled economic growth and created jobs. But it also created a bubble. Property prices skyrocketed, far outpacing the average person's income. Now that bubble is showing signs of bursting. Some developers are defaulting on their loans. This housing crisis isn't just an economic issue, it's a social one. Remember those double-digit economic growth rates we talked about? They were the envy of the world. Well, they came at a cost, a significant one. One of those costs was the expectation that each generation would be better off than the last. A promise that now seems broken. But now, with the economy slowing down, that promise is starting to ring hollow, especially for young people in China who feel the brunt of this shift. Imagine graduating from university with a degree in hand, full of hopes and dreams for the future, only to face an uncertain reality. You've done everything right, gotten good grades and acquired valuable skills, yet the future remains bleak. But then you hit a wall, the job market, which is more competitive than ever. Competition is fierce, and there simply aren't enough good jobs to go around, leaving many disheartened. This is the harsh reality for millions of young Chinese today, a generation left behind. The unemployment rate for those aged 16 to 24 has soared to record highs, creating widespread concern. Many are forced to take on low-paying part-time jobs just to make ends meet, sacrificing their aspirations. They're delaying marriage, putting off having children, and putting their dreams on hold indefinitely. This situation is creating a sense of disillusionment and frustration among the youth. The government is well aware of this issue and is scrambling to create more jobs and provide support for young people, but the road ahead is challenging. Let's talk about something that's often whispered about but rarely discussed openly: censorship. China has strict controls on information. The internet is heavily censored. Certain topics are off limits, and criticizing the government, let's just say it's not encouraged. Now you might be thinking, what does censorship have to do with the economy? Well, imagine trying to make informed decisions about your money when you only have access to a limited amount of information. When people don't have access to accurate and unbiased information, it creates uncertainty. They might not know the full extent of the economic problems. They might not trust the official government statistics, and that lack of trust can lead to fear and panic. Censorship might seem like a separate issue, but it's intricately linked to the economy. Remember, China's economic rise has been nothing short of remarkable, a transformation that has captured the world's attention. Millions have been lifted out of poverty, experiencing a quality of life their ancestors could only dream of. Cities have transformed at breakneck speed, becoming bustling metropolises almost overnight. But with this rapid progress has come a new set of aspirations and expectations, especially among the younger generation. Imagine growing up in a China where things are constantly improving, where every year brings new advancements. You see new buildings, new cars, new opportunities emerging all around you. It's only natural to want a piece of that pie, to dream of a better future for yourself and your family, to aspire for more. But what happens when those dreams collide with the harsh realities of a slowing economy, a competitive job market, and rising costs of living? It creates a sense of disillusionment, a feeling that the promises of progress are slipping away. This discontent is particularly acute among young people who have grown up in a more prosperous and connected China, who have seen the world through their screens. They have access to information and ideas from around the world, broadening their horizons and expectations, and they're starting to demand more from their government, seeking not just economic growth, but also social and political reforms. Accessing information, fueling dissent. China's Great Firewall, you've probably heard of it. It's like a giant digital wall, blocking access to websites and information the government deems inappropriate or dangerous. But like any wall, it has its cracks. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to keep a beach ball submerged underwater. You can push it down in one spot, but it'll just pop up somewhere else. That's what's happening with information in China. Despite the government's best efforts, people are finding ways to circumvent the censorship. They're using VPNs to access blocked websites. They're sharing information on private messaging apps. They're even creating their own coded language to evade detection. And what are they finding on the other side of the wall? They're finding news and perspectives that challenge the official narrative. They're connecting with people who share their frustrations. They're realizing they're not alone in their discontent. This shared sense of struggle and the exchange of ideas are fueling a growing movement of dissent. In hidden corners and through encrypted channels, a new wave of resistance is taking shape. History has shown that walls, no matter how strong, eventually fall. The cracks are just the beginning. In China, public displays of dissent are rare. The government keeps a tight lid on protests and demonstrations, but that doesn't mean people aren't angry. It just means their anger simmers beneath the surface, finding expression in more subtle ways. Think of it like this. Imagine a pot of water on the stove. The heat represents people's frustrations. For a long time, the government has been able to keep the lid on, preventing the water from boiling over. But the pressure is building. We're seeing this pressure manifest in creative forms of protest. People are taking to social media to vent their frustrations, using humor and satire to bypass censorship. They're organizing online petitions and boycotts. So where does China go from here? It's a question that has experts scratching their heads. On one hand, China remains an economic powerhouse. It has a massive population, a skilled workforce, and a government that's determined to maintain growth. But on the other hand, the challenges are mounting. The economic slowdown, the housing crisis, the unemployment woes, the censorship, the growing discontent. These are all serious issues that can't be ignored. China's leaders face a delicate balancing act. They need to find a way to address the economic problems without undermining their authority or triggering social unrest. It's a tightrope walk, and the stakes are high. China's story is far from over. It's a story of incredible progress, but also of daunting challenges. It's a story of economic might, but also of social and political tensions. It's a story that continues to unfold before our eyes. As we've seen, China's economic struggles are deeply intertwined with its social and political landscape. The big question is, what happens next? Will China's leaders be able to adapt to the changing realities and find a path to sustainable and inclusive growth? So, there you have it, a glimpse into the complex and ever-evolving story of China's economic struggles. It's a story that's still being written with no easy answers or predictable outcomes. But one thing is certain. Understanding China's challenges and opportunities is crucial for all of us. As global citizens, we're all interconnected. What happens in China affects us all. So stay curious, stay informed. Don't miss out on future explorations and discoveries. Hit subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated with our new content. Your journey of wonder continues with every video. Stay connected and engaged on social media. Continue the conversation, follow us. Thank you for being a part of the Have You Ever Wondered community. Keep wondering, keep discovering. Until next time.